Section 9. I was amazed to see that our utility bills came to so much. Turn the faucet off, Mom yelled in a rage. Tighten the lid so the food doesn't go bad. Can I borrow your scissors?
Sure. Here you are.
You can substitute some transparent glue for a needle and thread. I dyed this fabric and it shrank. I'm getting rid of this leather jacket because it's worn out at the elbows. Add some flour to the mixture and stir it until it becomes thick.
What should we do with the leftovers?
Keep them in the fridge for now. I'll heat them in the microwave later. I could have laid out all that money on a new PC, but on second thought I decided to put some aside for a rainy day. A cell phone has become something of a necessity, and I can't do without one. No sooner had I sat back and relaxed than my wife asked me to do the chores. She laid the baby down and lay down beside him.
Section 10. Put this stuff away. It's in the way. When the kids made believe they were dinosaurs, they were scolded by their mother. After he bumped into the shelf, the priceless china fell and shattered into fragments. Can you keep an eye on my kids for a while? I need to pick up Ken.
No problem.
Our neighbor told us off for making a mess in his yard. Dolly resembles her big sister in every way. You can't tell them apart. As a rule, twins have a lot in common. I'm tired of doing the dishes, doing the laundry, and so on. My favorite pastime is strolling along the shore. It's pleasant. I'm exhausted. Let's take a break in the shade.
Why not?
Bob, this vending machine is out of order.
Oh no! I'm dying of thirst.
He fainted with hunger and fatigue, but came to after a while.
Section 11. The auditorium was empty except for a single piece of furniture. Any apartment will do as long as the rent is low. I'm not particular about it. His 60-year-old cousin inherited a piece of real estate by a lake. So much for small talk. Let's get down to business. Lucy resented the aggressive salesman trying to make her sign the contract. There are a number of factors discouraging us from investing in stocks. Japan imports various raw materials and exports manufactured goods. In the course of its economic development, Japan has abandoned its traditional values. The world is faced with an unprecedented crisis. In short, the purpose of the regulations is to protect domestic industries. In order to keep up its competitiveness in the world, Japan must undertake sweeping deregulation in earnest.
Section 12. We cannot turn our backs on desperate people who are at risk. The Parliament decided to provide developing countries with financial aid. Some say the British monarchy should be abolished. What do you think? They sought shelter from the attack, but found no place to hide. There's little prospect that the two countries will make significant progress in disarmament. The negotiations are underway. Before long, they will enter a crucial phase. The slaves were anxious to alter their destinies. The aristocrats abused their privileges to their heart's content. The revolution in itself bore no fruit, after all.
Section 13. Bob cut in on our conversation saying, "I'm against it," but everybody ignored him. We skipped his turn on purpose. He saw someone being bullied, but he turned a blind eye. When Nick and I cheated on an exam, I was suspended from school. As for Nick, he got away with it. They are hostile to Richard because they are jealous of his wealth and status.
I hate him. He behaves as if he were somebody.
In spite of our compliments, he frowned and turned away. He was so rude. He claimed that the enormous property was at his disposal. The more stubborn you are, the more isolated you become. Don't beat around the bush. What am I supposed to do?
Just wait and see. Time will tell. Section 14. Please hand in your assignment via email no later than 5 p.m. on June 10th. Joe is anything but diligent. That's why he flunked math again. His thesis doesn't make sense. To begin with, its theme is obscure. His essay was concise and to the point. How are you going to deal with this complicated problem?
Leave it to me. It's a piece of cake.
Nick, I want you to look this over before I turn it in.
Sorry, but I have my hands full right now.
What if I don't meet the deadline?
I bet he'll get mad at you.
Your summary leaves nothing to be desired, apart from the terrible handwriting. You ought to think over whether the premise is valid or not. Above all, scientific terms call for precise definitions.
Section 15. First of all, learn the formula by heart. To calculate the volume, multiply the length by the width by the depth. Tiny cracks were found in the bottom of the barrel. This chapter will focus on the concepts of geometry. Phil is much more interested in academic subjects than in practical skills.
Something's gone wrong with this microscope. I need to have it repaired.
Let me see it. Maybe I can fix it.
What is an instrument?
For instance, a gauge, such as a thermometer or a barometer. The minute particles are barely visible to the naked eye. Muscle tissue consists of a vast number of cells. This substance is mostly composed of hydrogen and oxygen. The exact temperature is 22.68 degrees Celsius.
Section 16. Naomi likes to show off her perfect figure. I wish I were thin like her. I envy her.
You could go on a diet. I fell in love with Naomi at first sight. 3 months later, I took a chance and proposed to her, but she turned me down.
I met the man by chance. He's gentle and smart. What's more, he's single. His nephew was brought up to be modest and considerate. I introduced Bob to my folks, and they took to him at once. People should be judged not so much by how they look as by who they are. It's not your title that counts, that's for sure, exclaimed Bob. As a self-made man put it, a man of vision will make good in the end. Keep in mind that youth is not eternal.
Section 17. I can't figure out why on earth everybody feels so much contempt for Bob. I can't help laughing at him because he keeps on making stupid mistakes. He'd be the last person to learn his lesson. To make matters worse, he isn't even conscious of annoying us. Since I was in a hurry, I put my gloves on inside out by mistake. Dave is fat and clumsy. When he leaped over the shallow stream, he stumbled and twisted his ankle. I'm scared of heights.
You're a coward.
The passive man seldom, if ever, expresses himself in public. Nick convinced me that all superstitions are irrational. I tremble with fear at the thought of an injection. Since Bob is lazy at heart, he frequently neglects his duties. While Bob was at work, Jennifer was at home absorbed in silly soap operas. Bob likes cartoons, but I don't think much of them. As a matter of fact, they're boring.
Section 18. It occurred to me that he was holding something back because he wouldn't look me in the eye. When her patience gave out, she grabbed his collar and swore at him. I must admit, we quarrel every now and then, but generally we're on good terms with each other.
Do you mind if I stop by your house?
No, not at all. Be my guest. Hold on, I'll be right back. Don't hang up. I can't put you up. For one thing, my dad drops in on me from time to time. While Jennifer was standing still, Bob was pacing back and forth along the sidewalk.
Let's make up, Lisa.
Stop taking me for granted. We're through for good this time. I mean it.
Come on, don't get so emotional, Lisa. I didn't mean to hurt you. Let's talk it over.
You betrayed me.
Please forgive me. How can I make it up to you?
I'll get even. You should confess your sins rather than conceal them. Keep your word, otherwise you'll end up losing face. Bob sticks to his moral principles and believes that honesty pays off in the long run. Cheer up! You couldn't help it.
I did my best.
I know. Don't dwell on the past. You can start over.